like for ranked specifically. So I think that just pressure alone, he loves this pick as well. So as far as composition goes, real disgusting here for the Leviathans. Doesn't mean that the Jade Dragon's comp is that much worse. Yamoja on her is going to be decent for pressure early on. I think Agni is rising in the tier list for me personally. Just a pick that has some great damage, great space control with that stun. And of course, Pele. Top of the meta for a reason. Very solid jungler for Lasbra. But then you have to talk about, you know, the elephant in the room, the Outwash in the room. How good can this pick really be when it's in Nika's hands? That's the question. You're up against Amaterasu, a pick that does like to get those tick heals online. It's not as telegraphed though. Oh my goodness.
Wow, Dardes taking a lot of poke early on. Shinto and adapting, of course, bringing in that mid 2v2 Susano late picked in the draft. Agni late picked in the draft as well, and initially we thought that may have been a mage, like Gore wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, but you're right to focus on this Outwash. And they talked about, you know, he could get focused. They could decide to put some of that aggression. Oh my goodness, I didn't think he had the damage, but Lasbra turns the first blood. He might even try to find it onto adapting. The damage coming through is enough from the Pele and the Dragons on the board early.
Wow, it is very difficult to die on Baba Yaga early. Like, you have the passive with the house, you have plenty of healing, you can get your 2 and your 3, you don't even have to get the 1. Major fumble there from Shinto, I'm guessing, saw the damage that was on the Dardes. Last one wants to go in for another gank onto Shinto. How much does he have? Not this time, blast off good for the escape. Either way, very difficult to actually find a first blood onto Baba Yaga. Major fumble there, but I think because of the poke that went on to Dardes early, Agni was one shot, right? That makes you step up a little bit more, that gives you confidence, and you get punished for it. Conduit Gem does give you that extra burst damage, and Dardes was able to find it this time though. Lasbra was the one with the real DPS, Pele getting first blood.
Yeah, not only do they find the first blood, but Lasbra comes right back and burns the beads as well away from the Baba. So an opportunity as they round out to level 5 to potentially go on something of a counter gank. And Baba seems like one of those picks that has been routinely very, very safe. Of course, you know, very safe in those team fights especially, but not one that we've seen the junglers target on trying to put down early. Mostly because I think even if you try and put her down early, she just stacks so well. Like she's going to scale no matter what.
Yeah, you know, it's not going to hurt Shinto too much. What really is the benefit is getting Lasbra ahead, right? You get that first blood. XP-wise, not ahead. Of course, adapting is going to be able to get a little bit more farm because of it. But that first blood bounty is the real difference maker. Getting Soul Eater online as quickly as possible is going to be the real benefit there for the Jade Dragons. But I'm telling you, if you have the house passive stacked up, and if you have your double potions, it is very difficult. One of the hardest early gang, like pre-level 5 gods to gank in Baba, because you can actually just use your escape as a damage tool to help clear the wave. Either way though, nice start for Lasbra. Purple buff not going to be invaded. Well, attempted evade, but not going to be confirmed. Coast is able to pick that one up. But the Jade Dragons are in the driver's seat. They've got this level 5 Pele. Lasbra has the ability to sort of rotate across the map and see where he wants to try and get active. My issue is, do you ever look towards solo lane? Like, how much support is Nika going to be giving you on a gank? You pretty much drop your burst, empty the crypts, and that's about it. You hope that Lasbra can finish off that damage. There's not much CC that Nika's going to be providing, and because of that, you saw Lasbra look over and say, any gank attempts? No? Okay, I'm out. And he just bailed. I think the correct play.
Adapting. Hovering over on this left-hand side. Great ultimate channel from Coast. Prevents the pull back in there, despite the attempt from adapting. I think this dual lane is an interesting one to focus on. This is where the change occurred. Naturally, Vaporish Coast and PBM, the new dual laner to the Jade Dragons. And they prioritized this on her. Top 3 in the draft. One with a little bit more aggression and maybe an ult-for-ult trade when it comes to the Oleron matchup specifically, but one that Coast can be a little bit more aggressive on, and that's maybe one of the things he's looking to bring to this new roster.
It's funny because I forgot that Coast and Adapting were teammates until that taunt right there. Right when I saw Coast taunt Adapting, I'm like, oh yeah, they used to be on the Ravens. They were at Worlds last year. Like these guys go way back. In fact, You know what? Coast self-proclaims that he's the one that brought adapting back in the Smite. I'm not sure if or competitive Smite. I'm not sure if I believe it, but I'm just. That's where that taunt comes from, right? When your boy tries to gank you and he fails, you gotta make sure he gets a little bit tilted. That's kind of the idea. Coast never won shy away from the taunts. Attempted gank towards FinoK here. I don't imagine he's in too much trouble. Yeah, ult and dashed away. It seems easy enough.
Handles it. FinoK doesn't dash towards the tower. Dashes towards the help instead, and adapting there to prevent the blue buff invade. But after that first blood, things have kind of quieted down. A little bit of a lead for the Jade Dragons. I think, you know, some of that's first blood bounty, some of that is the neutral farm, as we've had a little bit of pressure on those fights on the camps on either side of the map. If you're looking at the jungle matchup here specifically, Pele's got a lot of early damage, and after that early kill, are we waiting for that Soul Eater to stack up before lasbra wants to get involved again, or do you feel like he should be forcing the issue a little bit more?
I mean, he did all he could, right? That's what I'm saying. That's what a gank onto FinoK is going to look like. You go over, you drop everything, FinoK gets out. I do not think that Nika provides much lane pressure. He's just there to stack up, I assume, a Tablet of Destinies that will come later. He only has Breastplate for now. But there's not going to be much camping of a solo lane. It doesn't really exist. So I want lasbra to get active where he can. Most of these junglers feel safe going for the solo lane ganks because they're so far away from everyone else. But FinoK is not going to be put into a bad position very easily. So if lasbra does want to find a gank, it's probably going to be over towards duo, towards mid lane. That's the better end. But as far as do I want him doing more, I mean, using ult off cooldown is not going to be easy, but so far, already a first blood and an attempted gank. It's not like lasbra's not shooting. Yeah,
no, he's... That's the worst, when you stop shooting, when you just lose the confidence. Nobody's lost the confidence thus yet. That's the important bit here. See some pings and a rotation here from Post and PBM. Thought might see Dardes try to join them, but this dual lane was the place where I thought we might see the action early, but I mean, we've known the Jade Dragons to, at least in their past iteration before the roster change, one of the teams in the league that have enjoyed going late. I think a 65-minute game earlier on in the phase.
Oh, and they loved it.
They are one of the teams that enjoy the scaling up, and you know, there's potential for the roster change to switch up that mindset a little bit, but as far as Coast goes, he's just wanted to survive this engagement right here. Panicat takes a lot of return damage. On the other side, though, Dardes under pressure, good speeds, prevents the knock-up, but the stun is not there. The return damage might be enough, though. lasbra looking for the ultimate and finds the trade onto adapting. Damage continuing on the left-hand side in the mid lane fight. lasbra, he doesn't want to slow down Shinto under pressure here, and no ultimate available, just needs a little bit more damage, and Shinto looking to fall, needs to hit the one and will do so. 3 kills on the board for lasbra.
Wow, that first ultimate needed to connect onto adapting, and because of that easy chase down potential, but then Shinto falls as well, just holding the blink until that unruly magic comes through. Beautiful play there from lasbra. 3-0 already. Got a great turn over in duo lane. I mean, that was Pandacat getting aggressive, dropping that Sanctified Fields. Ko said, I'll turn around, Desert Fury you in the face, and then we'll attempt to look for a kill onto wrong you. Doesn't end up finding it, but still, that's a long cooldown towards that Sanctified Field. Having that down makes an easy target for a gank if, number one, you're dealing with the Kepriel, and number two, you've got the beads down, which they don't have both of. They only have the Kepriel down for the time being. Either way, though, lasbra gets a full Dawnbringer after that back. Seems like a tankier style Pele build that we'll be seeing. You come off to a good start like this, not going to be the worst idea. It's just that late game scaling you're going to be lacking unless he goes into a bit more damage later on.
Pressure onto Coast here. Adapting rotates over again. Well channeled on the ultimate and a great usage of the relics as well. The gank will not be successful. A lot of tools used there. Adapting doesn't actually, I think only uses, oh no, he did use the blink. So a little bit of that gank pressure you'll lose for the next 2 minutes or so. And that begs the question of what the Jade Dragons want to do with this lead, because around the 9-minute, 10-minute mark here, this lead is not insignificant. lasbra taking a little bit of poke, forces the ult out from Shinto. And that's now a couple of tools you forced out of the Leviathans. The Jade Dragons might have a window here soon.
They do. Do they try and send over an Outpost stacking Book of Thought to help with Gold Fury is my question, though. Seems like no, maybe looking for a River's Rebuke. Notably, Wrong You already went back and upgraded for the full Phantom Shell, so not going to be the biggest deal if the team gets caught in that ultimate as long as Wrong You's around. But there's so much pressure that's been thrown out. I mean, you said it yourself, Shinto having to go into the ultimate defensively, and Lasbra did not use much. No blink, no ult. It was just pressure from Pele alone. Not to mention how much has been going the way of a Porridge Ghost. Seems like Adapting's tried to gank him 2-3 times, and did walk away with the beads in the ultimate, but did not net that kill, which means as long as Ghost is sitting underneath the tower line, he'll be okay. Do you see him at the tower line? No, he's actually at Bandicat's tower line. That's because someone must have called, hey, Adapting's over and right lane. You are free to farm up for a bit. A lot of ward coverage, though, on the left side of the map, which is important. See Susano show up twice before 10 minutes. Makes you want to get some wards down on that side of the map.
You start looking at builds, you start looking at the state of the game, and a lot of the members here on the Dragons are hitting those 2-item power spikes. Flat Pen for Dardes coming online, stacking, as you mentioned, for Nika. And with these neutral objectives, Gold Fury's up on the map, Pyromancer to be up in the next couple of minutes, and Beacon just a minute away. I mean, are you forcing these objectives? If you're the Dragons, sure, you have a lead, but this feels like you don't have to wait. You don't have to let your composition scale anymore. You're in a position where you can try and force your hand around one of these neutral objectives.
Yes, that's the issue with the Jade Dragons composition. I think with the lead they have, you'd think they'd be able to go in for these objectives pretty easily, but I'm really looking at solo lane, right? If it's the Leviathans with this lead, Fine OK has already teleported out, pulled a Gold Fury, used that passive and said, hey, we're going in for a burn immediately. But because Nika's on the Outwash, who is stacking up Book of Thoth and wants to sit there in lane and sort of just, you know, farm up, get his items online, it's not as easy, and it's also not as impactful. Amaterasu with Shoguns just brings so much more DPS to an objective than the Outwash is at the moment. So the Jade Dragons, despite having this lead, don't really feel that confident going in for a pull just yet. Maybe towards a Beacon fight, that seems a bit more likely. But once Nika gets second Relic, which he just did, he just picked up that Beats, I think the Jade Dragons will feel a lot more confident sending him into team fights and rotating. That's what he's done. He is in mid lane currently for the Beacon. Will they group up towards Gold Fury after? It doesn't seem like it. Looks like grab the Beacon and back up.
Well, he'll stay on this side of the map, at least for the time being.
Okay, there we go.
Some of the pings come through, and the Gold Fury gets picked up, and look at this shred. Oh my goodness. In an instant, the objective falls, and the gold difference out to above 4,000 for the Jade Dragons. The Pyromancer right around the corner for them to focus on as well. And they don't lose much for it. Nika, as soon as that ends, he teleports right back over. I'm not even sure he missed a wave for it.
Yeah, and that's what you had to wait for. I mean, he didn't have the teleport up, didn't have his bees. The second they get online, Nika makes the rotation, looks at the Beacon. Leviathan say, hey, you know what? We have no ability to even fight towards that Beacon, so let's run away. Beacon turns into Fury real quickly, and because of that, no presence is shown. The Jade Dragons continue to push their lead, which is exactly what they need to do. Getting idle sitting back, not going to be the best. Mike drops that ult just a zone for shield buff. Like, he's like, you're not walking up. You're also not fighting. That's the other key difference. The Leviathans, if they've been forcing fights, if they've been getting active, you feel pretty bad about dropping River's Rebuke there. But Adapting goes in for a cheeky pull. If he misses, that's it. That's the fight. Reset. That's how it's been. So you feel pretty decent just dropping ult cooldowns like that. You know there's no aggression coming your way.
We'll have to see how the fights round out, I think, as we get a little bit farther into the game here. Dragons holding on to a lead, grab that first neutral objective. But as we, you know, at some point, they can't give away the Gold Fury for free. I'm not sure we're there quite yet. But we haven't seen this Opwash in a minute. We've seen it from Baskin, I think, mentioned that Sot has played it as well. I'm a bit worried here that Fine OK might be under some pressure on the right-hand side. But, I mean, what does this Opwash bring in the team fights? Is it just drop ult and try and absorb cooldowns? He doesn't feel like he's going to bring as much as a traditional warrior would.
No, it's a very different play style. Very solid burst damage. You drop this ult, make everyone retreat. Sure, Wrong, you can stay and try and go in for a steal. He's not going to get it. The Jade Dragons pick up the Pyromancer there. But you saw it. Empty the crypts, force everyone to run away. try being Shinto. You know, you go up into the house, you think you're gonna get some good DPS off, and then you see all the damage coming through from Nika. Not gonna be too much of an issue here, just using the Dazzling Offensive to pull the beads off, because the rest of the Leviathans might have wanted to chase down. It's just a no-play zone, and it's very difficult to rely on sustain like Olorons and Amaterasu's do when there's just so much anti-heal coming from one source. You can try and focus him out though, which is kind of the call here, right? Beads go down for Nika for a solid minute and a half or so. His Outflash may have a target on his back. Just breastplate, but that full Genji's guard bot. So that might be just enough survivability to try and make it to this next spawn of beads before Nika puts himself too bad a position.
The longer this game goes, the more worrying it maybe is, though, for the Dragons fans, just because this is almost where the Leviathans want to play the game. They have found a lot of success thus far this season, topping their division with these late-game team fights. You know, they're good in comms, they're all on the same page, they've bounced back and forth between objectives very well. And so, this gold lead, sure, you know, it's 3K, it's 4K, but it's been 3K, 4K for, you know, about 5 minutes now, maybe since they got that gold fury. It's a little bit evening out. And the longer this game goes, we get, you know, to the next neutral objective, the next couple of spawns. I think the Leviathans are more and more likely to find a team fight that they are, you know, more willing to take as they scale up a bit.
I would hope so, because they haven't found a fight they've really wanted to take yet. It was really just that pick from adapting, which is nice, but not so much a team fight. It's just been reading, sort of defending. Good poke from Darda. It just shows what this Agni can accomplish if you sit there and try and, you know, trade range with him. One of the longest range mages that you can really go for in the current meta in mid lane. Because of that, Pyromancer's not up for a while. Fire Giant might be the call here. I mean, why else would Panda Cat be rotating over? There's an attempted pull, maybe just a check to sort of do a, you know, a face check, see what's happening. Right at the spawn of the Primal Fury, though, they go in for it. Does anyone have vision here? Yes, it looks like Mike's on the way. Not going to be able to sneak this one. The rest of the Jade Dragons are coming.
Potential idea from the Leviathans to try and sneak this one away if possible, but it'll be sniffed out early in the rotation. They don't even stick onto the Gold Fury. They want to make sure that everybody's over here. They can try and defend it if it was a committal from the Leviathans. Instead, though, the Tier 1 tower, that's the engagement first off, and it's happening. He's on the last for the damage. It's finished off by Fine OK, and the ultimate is beautiful. Scarab's Blessing keeps all 5 members of the Levi's alive. They find a pick in trade for the Tier 1 tower, and they look to back off.
Yeah, all stars to the Leviathans. They know, hey, that Primal Fury is going to spawn in and the Jade Dragons are going to be there. We can put some pressure over to right when it happens. Check and see if they've got the wards. Mike and Darde show up immediately, but unfortunately Lasbra sticks around a bit too long. Adapting finds a beautiful blink. I thought because the one missed, the dash was necessary to confirm that kill. May have been a bit of trouble. Ends up not mattering too much, and the Jade Dragons will take, I was going to say the consolation prize of the Primal Fury, but you're pretty happy with just getting that. Because there wasn't too much to fight over. I mean, you get a Tier 1 tower and the Primal Fury. Leviathans will be able to grab a Tier 1 in return, but I think you're okay with losing Lasbra. The real issue is the shutdown gold you've just given over to Fine OK. This Amaterasu is a growing problem. Level 18, most farm on the map currently, and was able to just walk away, split push over the right side, try and push a Tier 2 tower. We stopped by Mike, but still, probably a lot of gold in Fine OK's hands for now. And once he rotates out, yeah, solid 3K. He's going to back for a full item. He'll be able to really show how much damage Amaterasu can do. I wonder if he goes into Kins or if he feels like he needs a little bit more tank stats. Looks like Spirit Robe, maybe Kins' next item. Once he gets that, he'll be able to shred through just about anyone.
Yeah, we've seen Fine OK with a couple of different play styles. We've seen him just, you know, hard rotate on this Amaterasu. You get a lead, he's suddenly at every Gold Fury fight, but the farm prioritization like this, he's ahead, allows the team to pull up objectives like this. Leviathans step up, grab the Pyromancer, a little bit of a steal attempt from the Jade Dragons there, but nobody in position in time. And at 20 minutes here, Trilly, only 5 kills between these two teams. And it just feels like we're waiting for the pin to drop, waiting for somebody to commit to an objective. And as I say it, naturally, Fire Giant picked up by the Dragons, half HP to start things, but this doesn't seem like it wants to be a commit until the ultimate gets dropped. It's a 50-50, the Dragons, they've got the Fire Giant. and they're retreating on the fight afterwards. Adapting in the back line. Looks like PBM may be the target, but Adapting finds a double ultimate, and Coast shuts him down. The Dragons, now they're on the chase.
Yeah, not a great dive there, but Lasper, he's not going to let you run away for a free. Blinks forward just to get some damage off. No more chase down potential for the Dragons for now. I mean, I love the call to commit to that Fire Giant, but Fine OK uses ult to try and go in for the steal, which means he's not diving with Adapting. Adapting goes all by himself to the back line. Give her full relics up. I don't think he's ever going to get a pick there. Maybe he thought he was close enough to wrong you to get that Scarab's Blessing, but he was not. Ends up dying apparently for nothing. Tier 2 tower also drops. The G Dragons, they're not done pushing. They're going to group up on the left side of the map and go ahead and grab this Tier 2 tower. Now that we've got some downtime, the topic of conversation with the J Dragons has been their sieges. Would Vaporage Coast be enough to try and fix some of those siege issues? Well, they're sieging forward right now. Left side Bird is the target. Already Mike's tanking it up.
They're here. The Leviathans have to react. They pull in Nika, but the ultimate's still down for PBM. And Fine OK, he's got his ultimate back up. He's on the front lines. And Coast, they turn the damage around. Fine OK's forced back into the enemy jungle. Look how low, but it just doesn't matter. He made the space. Adapting, it's gotta be Lasbra. He has to go insane, and the damage, nothing, it's not there.
He gets no one?
Dardes finds Panda Cat way up in the front of the fight, but Lasbra not getting any kills. He gets all the TKOs though. Everybody is forced back to base, and the space is made onto the Bird, but they don't have the damage. The chase down's still here. Fine OK pushes them off the Bird, and the pull not there. The root off the mark as well. The Leviathans, they might have had a chase, but ultimately just a 1-for-1.
Yeah, they've got Fine OK's passive, or first ability rather. They had the movement speed. They could have chased down, but the issue, of course, was Mike's sustained. Every full HP, you really want to try and chase down a Yamoja. The Riptides, the healing, probably not the best idea. I'm baffled that Lasbra gets no one there. And then you realize he only had Dawnbringer and Serrated Edge. You need a little bit more DPS to be able to find those kills. I thought he was going to commit a bit harder. But you get 2 Tier 2 towers. It's not the end of the world. Remember, this is a very early Fire Giant for the J Dragons. Just the fact that they even went in for a Phoenix is a bit risky when you don't have guaranteed Runic Bombs or Confirmation or a level lead, whatever. But in this case, you're happy that you got 2 Tier 2 towers. It looks like a possible free Gold Fury as well. There is about 1 minute and 11 seconds left. Do the J Dragons going to try and go in for a Phoenix Bolt? I don't think so. Probably just grab this Fury and reset for the next FG. One thing I did notice is how much damage Nika has been doing. Not really a traditional tank-style outwash build. Sure, you got your Breastplate and your Genjis, but no Tablet of Destinies, that's the huge. Breastplate, Typhon's Fang. Might even get a Soul Reaper last item, who knows? Point being, this outwash is swinging. He's not just there for show.
Yeah, when you drop that ult on an objective, you know, it was a little bit of a coin flip on the last Fire Giant, but it's a very weighted coin flip, right? Dragons, they've been okay with taking those types of plays. We'll see if they do it around the next Fire Giant as well. Still won't be EFG for quite a while. For that early Fire Giant was, I think, pre-20 minutes or right around that time. Leviathans, though, they've got to answer back. Right now, they're doing it in the macro, trying to grab what they can, and somehow they put the Dragons on defense, although I'm not sure they're super willing to step up into this Tier 2. My concern is more around this Fire Giant fight. Last time, they lost the weighted coin flip, and they lost Adapting on the dive. And it feels like maybe they commit one way or the other, but I mean, how do they fight back into this next Fire Giant siege?
I mean, I think it goes a lot better if Final K and Adapting dive in unison, or at least right after Final K gets some relics, some escapes down, then Adapting's able to go in. But it was too split last time. And the J Dragons are going to be the first ones here. They already have their ward coverage. They're already at the Fire Giant before it spawns in. And this is going to be hard to deal with. Titans are pushing down the right side of the map. It seems like both teams are going to go ahead and try and defend this one. Phantom Shell is up, so Wrong U to make sure his team's not in a terrible position if Mike is able to find a massive ultimate. Seems like just kill the Titans and then reset is the game plan. Unless someone just bites off a little more than they can chew. Fine, okay. He's been apt to try to start fights if he gets the chance.
Every ultimate available, every relic available for both sides here. It's the J Dragons, though. They've got the lead in gold and experience. this here. Some upgraded starters on their side. Only a couple of upgraded starters on the other side. They've got their Titan pushing in. It's all about how deep the Leviathans want to commit to this defense. They'll give up the tier 1, take down the Titan and right, but the Jade Dragons, they're thinking, well, if they gave up the tier 1, they might just give up the Fire Giant.
Right, Adapt takes a lot of damage already. Cannot walk up to Lasbra and Dardes. Fire Giant. Dardes wants to go back to base. Is he really going to retreat here?
Wow.
Yes. Adapting's gone. And look at this, they're committing already.
They're committing. They've got to go for it. They secure the Fire Giant and the Leviathans. They flip-flop too much. Nobody willing to step in. No steal attempt, it looked like. And on her basic attack is the secure there. 400 damage. Regardless of what it was, though, Jade Dragons, a 10K gold lead now, and Fire Giant power play for the next 4 minutes.
And it's just so hard to walk in. I mean, you were asking me earlier, how much does this Outwash really bring to the table? That's kind of the idea. You drop empty the crypts. In this case, you also drop Rivers Rebuke. Mike says, are you going to walk through my ult? Are you going to use Phantom Shell offensively to step forward? Wrong You says no, because his jungler's been half-held before the fight even began. Adapting goes back to base.
Whoa.
Could be a body block here. You gotta stop the dash. Fine, okay. Looks like knows that there's someone behind him and is gonna go in front of him. It would take way too long to try and chase him down, so the team opts against it. But there are still minions. Okay, I was gonna say Lasbra was heading over. It looks like they're just gonna let him push for now. Either way, Adapting getting poked out there, real unfortunate. Just goes to show, if Dardes catches you with the Flame Wave stun, I mean, you need a relic or you need to get out of there. And neither one of those things happened, which means Adapting gets 30% of his HP just only alive and has to go back to base. 5v4, you lose Fire Giant, and the Jade Dragons have one more chance to go in for a siege before the Fire Giant gets enhanced. I think they're going to do a bit of a split here. I'm wondering how they're doing it. So far, it looks like a 1-4 to pull off. Don't really have runic bombs to play with, though, so this is going to be a slow siege, if anything.
They've got plenty of time to work with. 2 minutes still on this Fire Giant power play. And the 4-1 setup means 4 or 5 minion waves they can use to try and push this one up. But it looks like it's a switch. They send the assassin over to mid, keep the remaining 4 members on that left-hand side. A little bit of poke comes out early, and this might be the go button. Minions in. Titan starting, Phoenix starting to be hit as Final K takes a ton of poke damage. The Ankh gets popped, the blink in from last for Shinto. Under pressure, Scared Blessing keeps them alive, but they're stuck inside the wave! The Phantom Shell is not there! Adapting trades 1 back, but 2 are already down for the Levi's. The Phoenix has fallen, and the Jade Dragons, they break the base.
I can't believe how late that Phantom Shell was. Wrong, you couldn't get close enough to help his team out. What a beautiful ultimate from Polar Bear Mike. 1 bird down, but Adapting goes forward, does not have the damage, and it looks like Final K, he's hung out to dry.
Gotta be careful here. Final K, he's up too far, and Dardes grabs the Soul Eater. 4 strong here still for the Jade Dragons, and the sustain from PBM. They're still almost full HP with a wave here in the middle lane. They've got to be careful, though. A 2v4, this is far from guaranteed. The damage gets dropped. The Titan is falling fast. 25%, 0%, and the Jade Dragons take game 1.
And I can't give enough praise to the entirety of this Dragons team. I mean, Lasbra takes the early game by storm, says, don't worry, guys, I got you. Then, once Nika rotates out at level